Hundreds of years ago, this abandoned expanse was a thriving cultural and commercial hub. Merchants traveled across continents to trade here, bringing wealth that transformed a simple settlement into a bustling, prosperous city. Looking at this historical map of the Bengal and Bihar provinces, you can see the sheer scale of the region's influence. This territory was a massive artery for global commerce, effectively anchoring the local economy. The people who lived here poured their immense wealth into their infrastructure. You can still see the remnants of that prosperity in the highly advanced architecture and the intricate stone carvings that pattern these surviving temple walls. But then, the historical records simply stop. There is no documented decline, no record of a war or famine slowly draining the population. The city vanishes from regional texts almost overnight. According to local lore, when outsiders cautiously entered the city, they found a frozen tableau. Half-cooked meals still sat near hearths, pots and pans left on tables, and beds remained unmade. The residents didn't simply pack up and move, they sprinted away with only the clothes on their backs. Thousands of highly successful people do not spontaneously coordinate the abandonment of their generational wealth and homes. The physical evidence left behind forces us to ask what could possibly trigger an entire city to flee in a single night. Researchers have naturally tried to find a logical explanation. Teams have mapped active archaeological sites like this one, analyzed soil samples, and combed through climate data to find a rational trigger. The first major hypothesis focused on extreme climate shifts. Soil tests do show evidence of changing weather patterns in the region, leading some scientists to suggest that a catastrophic, prolonged drought eventually forced the citizens to leave in search of water. Historical droughts in this part of the world were devastating. When the rains failed, communities would drain their final reserves, gathering around empty wells like the one seen here, before having no choice but to migrate. A second scientific theory points to a sudden geological event. Some researchers propose that shifting tectonic plates released pockets of toxic underground gas, triggering mass illness, delirium, and a desperate evacuation. But neither theory holds up against the physical evidence. Droughts cause slow, methodical migrations over months, not a synchronized midnight panic. And while a toxic gas leak might cause illness, it doesn't organize thousands of terrified people to permanently abandon a city in the exact same hour, leaving their dinner on the stove. Environmental science and logical deduction give us plausible reasons for a city to slowly die. They completely fail to explain a sudden, localized panic intense enough to empty a wealthy metropolis between sunset and sunrise. Where the scientific method hits a dead end, local history steps in. The surrounding communities maintain that the city's ruler disturbed a sacred site, triggering an ancient curse, or awakening something deep underground that surfaced that exact night. Since that night, the city has sat in total isolation. You can see how aggressively the jungle has reclaimed the territory, with massive tree roots actively tearing through the stone walls over centuries of complete abandonment. And the phenomenon didn't end centuries ago. Local police still regularly field reports of strange, glowing lights deep within the ruins. Tourists and locals alike describe sudden, unnatural temperature drops and an oppressive, heavy feeling in the air the moment the sun goes down. Seeking to disprove these legends, a group of modern explorers attempted to spend the night in the city's central building. They arrived with high-definition thermal cameras and backup power units, intending to prove that the ghost city was merely a product of overactive imaginations. Halfway through the night, their cameras recorded a silhouette shifting in a high tower window, even though the entire team was accounted for safely below. Almost immediately, the status lights on their gear began to flicker. Their cameras and high-intensity flashlights failed in rapid succession, leaving them in total darkness. These documented equipment failures and eyewitness accounts point towards an uncomfortable reality. The original cause of the exodus remains an active, lingering presence here. The risk has become significant enough that the local administration officially stepped in. Nighttime entry into the ruins is now strictly and permanently banned. The territory has effectively been surrendered. Talk to the elders in the neighboring villages, and they won't speak of soil erosion or tectonic plates. They believe the sheer magnitude of human terror experienced on the night of the Exodus was so intense, it actually stained the atmosphere, trapping that panic in the remaining structures. We live in an era where we expect satellite imaging, carbon dating, and historical records to neatly solve the puzzles of the past. Yet facing this massive physical site, every scientific tool at our disposal has come up entirely empty. Today, this imposing brick temple stands entirely alone against the mountain landscape. There are no bustling markets, no traders, and no answers, just quiet, crumbling stone. This abandoned metropolis is a stark reminder of our own limitations. It forces us to accept that human logic and scientific deduction cannot conquer every anomaly, and that some historical secrets remain stubbornly, permanently sealed. So what really triggered the panic that night? Was it a bizarre act of nature, a localized disease, or something entirely outside our modern understanding? Let me know your theory in the comments below. And if you want to explore more of the world's deepest mysteries, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications.